This IRGC is a monster. This is something else. This is not that IRGC that we thought on those days to make it with a very small organization and based on the majority of the people of Iran. Negotiation with regimes like regime of Iran at the end of the road is useless because whatever they say, they lie. They are not transparent. They can promise everything. They can show that they, even Libyan style, they have destroyed everything. They have delivered everything. But they can hide many things. Iran has enough mountains, and under the mountains, enough caves and havens that they can reproduce whatever they have produced so far. What Benjamin Netanyahu said, Israel's desire is to have a Libyan style of negotiation. It means that Iran should deliver whatever they have, and verification should be done by the US, British, and IAEA at the same time. But it depends on the negotiation and what the US wants. I think that for President Trump, what is important is to say that I made a deal better than Obama and the others, and I'm a deal maker.
This is East to West. I'm your host, Sarah Martinez Amir, and in today's episode, we'll discuss the upcoming nuclear talks between the United States and Iran that are set to take place in Oman this Saturday to discuss a potential nuclear disarmament deal. President Trump made the surprise announcement while Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu was visiting the White House for an official meeting. Now, although Trump indicated that these talks would be direct, the Iranians, insist that, at least for the initial phase, they would be indirect. As Iran's foreign minister stated, this is an opportunity, no less than a test. The ball is in America's court. If the talks progress, a face-to-face meeting could be possible. Leading the Iranian delegation will be Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, while Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff will head the American delegation. These negotiations come at a pivotal moment amid heightened tensions in the Middle East, uncertainty about the future of the nuclear agreement, and conflicting approaches from global powers. I'm joined today from Washington, D.C. by a very special guest, Mohsen Sazegara. Mohsen was a founding member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps after the 1979 Islamic Revolution, but later became a journalist, political reformist, and dissident. He was arrested and imprisoned by the Iranian regime multiple times before ultimately leaving Iran and seeking asylum in the U.S. For over 2 decades, Mohsen has been a keen observer of the Iranian political landscape and has a unique perspective on how the Islamic regime operates. Mohsen, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get into these nuclear talks, I'm very curious to hear from you. What is the backstory of you and Khomeini founding the IRGC, which, frankly, from what it has become today, is very different, I'm sure, to what the original idea you originally had. You wrote the IRGC charter. Tell me, what was the original idea behind forming this Iranian army, and when did you feel like it had become something different to what you had aspired it to be?
Yeah, it's a long story, but to make a long story short, I have to say that thinking about a people army goes back to days before victory of revolution. And because I was a member of Liberation Movement of Iran, I was in charge of studying about people army. And in those days, I studied about Israel Army, the Switzerland Army, or National Guard in the US, and some other revolutionary organizations like Viet Congs or FLN in Algeria and the others. The day after victory of revolution, we had 3 problems. First, security of the country. because at the final stage, people attacked to garrisons and police stations, and everybody had guns. So we had to collect the guns from the hands of the people. The second problem was our fearness. We were afraid of military coup. We knew that we should rebuild the classic army of Iran as soon as possible. But we had the bitter experience of military coup against national government of Dr. Mossadegh in 1953, a British-American plot. So, and the third concern was a foreign attack. We were afraid of foreign attack to Iran. On those days, we thought that the U.S. will strike against Iran, but that was Saddam Hussein that a year and a half later invaded Iran. So for these three reasons, we thought that if we make an people organization that mobilize the people when the country is in danger and fight against the enemy to help the classic army of Iran is the solution. So that's the idea of making IRGC. And the first charter of IRGC, that I was one of the writers of that, was based on these three necessities. But gradually, IRGC had some deviations from the first mission during the war between Iran and Iraq, and after that, intervened in economy of the country and later in politics of the country, and then became a terrorist organization by the hands of Quds Force and several other branches that now they are working in. And I have to say that this IRGC is a monster. This is something else. This is not that IRGC that we thought on those days to make it with a very small organization and based on the majority of the people of Iran.
You obviously have a deep insight into the Iranian system. Help us understand the Islamic regime's mindset today. What do you think is motivating them to engage in these talks with Donald Trump?
Very simple. I think that they have no other way because Trump has mobilized the army of the United States to show the teeth, and better to say a military diplomacy, sending message that you should come to negotiation table, otherwise the other option is military strike. And the country is not in a situation to go for a fight. And so they are ready to come to negotiation table. And I think that this playing with direct or indirect negotiation that Iran says is just to justify the leader who about 2 months ago said that we don't negotiate with the U.S. It's not honorable, and now they want to make it up somewhere that say that okay, we listen to the leader, but we are ready to negotiate. And I think that it will be a difficult negotiation for Iran delegation because they don't have any card to play with. You know, if it was a year ago or 2 years ago, better to say, they had 3 cards to play: the terrorist group, proxy groups in the region, the missile threat to the countries in the region, and then the atomic issue. After October 7, because that the shadow war with Israel came to the sun and to the light, I think Israel actually destroyed proxy groups of Iran like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the others. Syria has gone, and a missile threat doesn't work anymore. That tooth doesn't bite. everybody saw that it can be defended, it can be controlled by missile defense systems. So they have only the card of atomic issue to play with.
So, realistically, in your eyes, what are the possible outcomes of these negotiations? And is it feasible that Iran will dismantle its nuclear weapons program as part of this discussions?
Honestly, I think that negotiation with regimes like regime of Iran at the end of the road is useless because whatever they say, they lie. They are not transparent. Uh, they can uh, promise everything. They can show that they, even Libyan style, they have destroyed everything. They have delivered everything. Uh, but they can hide many things. Iran has enough mountains, and under the mountains, enough caves and havens that they can reproduce whatever they have produced so far. Like North Korea, they, negotiated about 6 years, and in 6 months, it was appeared that they lied. That's my idea. But what comes out of this term of negotiation, I think that it depends on the U.S. what they want and how much pressure they want to put over shoulders of Iran. I mean, what Benjamin Netanyahu said, Israel desire is to have a Libyan style of negotiation. It means that Iran should deliver whatever they have, and verification should be done by the U.S., British, and IAEA at the same time. But it depends on the negotiation and what the U.S. wants. I think that for President Trump, what is important is to say that I made a deal better than Obama and the others, and I'm a deal maker. So I don't know how far they go, especially Mr. Witkoff, that he's a person that wants to make a deal as soon as possible. So honestly, I don't know what will come out of this negotiation.
So you mentioned Trump's envoy to these negotiations in Oman, Steve Witkoff, who really lacks any sort of experience when it comes to negotiations facing the Iranian regime. Does that put the U.S. at a disadvantage?
Maybe because in the U.S., because that it's a democracy and a free country, every 4 years the administration, or at most every 8 years, the administration will be changed. But what made U.S. powerful in diplomacy and negotiations was the experts and the administration that was not changed in the State Department, in NSC, and the other institutions. They could feed anybody who was at the top of any negotiation. Go back to the period of Cold War negotiation with Soviet Union. They were, Andrei Gromyko was foreign minister for 30 years, more than 30 years. But in the U.S., every 4 years, the new foreign minister. But that was the American institutions who supported the foreign minister, regardless of who was over there. What I am now thinking about that, what President Trump has done to the administration of the United States may have weakened the, professionality of this administration as well. So if Mr. Witkoff or anybody else that goes to negotiation table is not supported by experts, professionals, and a powerful administration, then one by one, negotiation, I doubt that they can be very successful in front of Iran delegation that have done these types of negotiations, especially atomic issue once before, and they have more experience than Mr. Witkoff.
How does Iran typically approach negotiations like these? What are their tactics?
They prefer to take their time. They have more time. Iranians are very good of delivering complicated formulas to make uh, different options in one sentence and make lots of complications in the deal that they are going to make. This is that they are very good at. So it depends on the U.S. part that what they want to do and how they can handle it. And Iran will prefers to continue negotiation for 1 or 2 years. Don't forget that the first letter of President Obama to the leader of Iran was on 2009, and JCPOA was signed on 2015. So it depends on the American side. We know that Trump is a person that is in a hurry and wants to finish everything in a few months. But I don't know what will happen in negotiation period and table.
You mentioned Iran's rhetoric and negotiation tactics. That's very much part of that Iranian identity. In your eyes, how well have previous U.S. governments truly understood the Iranian regime? What is the level of political, cultural disconnect here?
I don't know that in details what happened. For instance, in two times Iranians had negotiation with U.S. administration. One on 1981 during the hostage taking, and that Algeria pact to release the hostages and release money of Iran, and the other things in that uh, mm, agreement between Iran and the U.S. And the second one is JCPOA that now we can study that. I think that mm, these two uh, mm, uh, these two terms of negotiations shows the tactics and the final outcome. I have to say that in hostage taking or negotiation or in JCPOA, U.S. administration was more powerful than Iranian side. And the final outcome, I have to say, was nil. Both sides were good in negotiations. This time, as I said, I don't know how how much the U.S. administration will support the people who go for negotiation.
You mentioned that Iran, the Islamic regime, can lie very easily in these negotiations, even if they do come to an agreement for some sort of nuclear disarmament. They have the landscape, the capabilities to still conceal their nuclear capabilities. Do you think that at the end of the day, a military option might be the only approach left in order to dismantle the Islamic regime and remove its threat to the region?
No, I think that the best solution is change of this regime, because even military strike against the nuclear facilities of Iran, at the end of the day, will destroy it and delay it for 2 3 years. But you know, making atomic weapons, atomic bomb, is a technology goes back to 40s, and it's not a big deal to make it. This is knowledge. every country at the stage of Iran development can make atomic bomb. So the problem is the regime of Iran. It should be changed to a normal regime, a moderate regime, secular regime that is ready to work with the world and appreciate globalization and peace in the world. So as long as this regime is in power, there is no trust, not in the atomic issue, but to other issues as well. For instance, about the proxy groups, now Iran tries to uh, uh, mobilize again, not only Hezbollah, but in Syria, Islamic resistance. They are supporting now Houthis and the others. So the problem is the regime itself.
So, to that point, how do you get rid of this regime?
By the hands of the people of Iran. This is exclusively the duty of the people of Iran. But people of Iran need help, like the other people who fought for freedom. Helping, supporting people of Iran is the best solution, because the people of Iran are the most powerful and most dangerous enemy of this regime.
You mentioned that the people of Iran, and it's safe to say that today there's never been such a higher sentiment of anti-regime sentiment on the streets of Iran. You say that the Iranian people need help in order to topple this regime. Realistically speaking, what is that help? Is that help the American government? How do they do that? How do they go and topple this regime that has such a grasp on them?
This is another job, actually my main job, because my main job is a politician and an activist in civil resistance. We believe in civil resistance, mobilizing the people of Iran and winning at the end of the day by the principle of number. Millions of people will participate in civil resistance. There are many aspects that international community, not only the U.S., international community, not only the governments, can help the people of Iran. It's a long story that I think that needs another interview I can explain for you.
Even if Iran were to agree to a nuclear deal, it doesn't address Iran's funding of terror groups. As you mentioned, even though they've been severely deterred by Israel, the threat still persists, whether that's Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, militias in Iraq and in Syria. My question to you is, how should the U.S. and its allies here in the region handle that persistent threat?
As long as this regime is in power, they have trouble. For instance, I have heard that after Israel attacks to Hezbollah, actually paralyzing Hezbollah and pushing Hezbollah toward a political party, Iran has sent millions of dollars through, passengers from Turkey, Oman, Qatar by suitcases full of cash. So far, I may be wrong, but I've heard that more than $500 million have been sent to Hezbollah to rebuild it. Or in Syria, as I said, or other proxy groups. So if this regime remains in power, the trouble will be continued. It might be reduced for a while, but again, they can reproduce that.
Mohsen Sazegara, thank you very much for your insight today.
Thank you for having me.